All right. Is this thing on? Hello. What's going on? This is Amelia. It is live on Wednesday at our normal time, 10 a.m. Los Angeles. And if you are here in the chat, please let me know that you can hear me and see me. I was looking over here because my own phone gave me an alert that I was live streaming. I'm like, thanks, phone. What's up? So, yes, please, I will ramble until somebody can confirm for me that things are working because sometimes they do not. I'm using the webcam, so I'm sorry that the sound might not be as beautiful. I am checking the chat. Tom says it's working. Thank you. Finally. Yes. Whew. That like stressful moment. Loud and clear. And so before I get too much further, I have to say something for the individual who thought it would be fun to send me some sound effects. You know who you are, and thank you. The problem is that you sent so many that my children got a hold of them, and now I am deaf. I literally, did you know that kazoos can be linked together? And then when you play them, they are louder. Yeah, I learned that. So thanks. So yes, I do now have sound effects. And if you like, you can choose purple versus orange versus blue, and they all sound the same. I'm going over to the chat to say hello, and I see Soren and Graham lurking, and Keith and John and Tom and Lady D, Diabetic Game Guy. What is up? You did get the time right, and yes, it is a struggle to live in Arizona because of the time change. There is Graham Scottish. He actually lives in Africa, which is hilarious. Tom is working, which is excellent. Oh, I am working, not Tom. Maybe Tom is working. There's Zach. Thank you, everybody, for helping me get set up and laughing with me a little bit about the sound effects because now I have some. Eric and Dee. Dee says her internet connection is bad, but it's lovely to be here. Kazoo niche for Project Icarus. I plan to talk about Project Icarus today for those of you who are here and can stand to hear about it. If you are here in the chat, do me the favor of slamming the thumbs up button just because it makes my heart feel fuzzy. Also, shout out to Zoic. This is my Customer Week shirt, and I know that Customer Week was like months ago, but their t-shirt game is good. Like, this is a comfy shirt, and I like wearing it. So there. Sarvesh says, hey, Amelia, from India. What's up? It's super late where you are, so props to you for staying up late and catching the stream. Got introduced to the channel. Really love it. I'm into niche sites for 7-8 years. Yes, I'm sure you know probably more than I do and more than many of us. So feel free to just drop that knowledge on us at any time. Seriously. John says, audio tech upgrades. You should review them. I just want to give a shout out to my friend John Davis, who's in the chat. I had actually a one-on-one chat with John. Was that yesterday? Was that only yesterday? It feels like forever. And I just want to highlight the benefit of having like a one-on-one Zoom call because I came away from that call so much more, I guess, inspired to work and motivated to work. And I've known John kind of near the beginning of when I got started in this business. So John not only is in the chat saying, hey, but thank you, John, for how I felt yesterday. You were a big part of that. If you want to learn more about YouTubing without using your voice or your face, John Davis is the creator for you because he creates a lot of content about that tech, and I am not that person. I see Chris in the chat. He says, hello, bonjour. That makes me think that Chris must have recently been to a part of Canada where French is more spoken than it is in Vancouver. He says he remembered for once. I'm so glad that you thought of us. And if anything happens today, it's Chris's fault. That's all I'm saying. Eric says he wanted to ask a question, but he forgot. Well, you made my job super easy, Eric. Seriously. So the plan today, I wanted to talk a little bit through 2022. And I hope that everyone else has been thinking about 2022 a bit because we're looking ahead, right? This is the marathon. This is what am I going to do, not just tomorrow, not just next week, but what should I hopefully be doing by December of next year and setting goals that are something that's in our control, right? Like we like to think of goals like, oh, I'd like to be making X number of dollars, or I would like to have so much traffic. But in the end, we can't really control that stuff. So that's been a real hard lesson for me, is to focus on setting goals that are things that I can control. And so far, the only thing that I can really control is how much content that I produce. So I've been really thinking about that. I also was sitting down and making some notes about launching Project Icarus. Yes, that is going to be the name. It doesn't really slide off the tongue yet. The Icarus site, Project Icarus. Maybe we'll call it the Project Ike or something. Give it a nickname. But Project Ike Icarus should hopefully be launching. In the first couple of days of January. The goal for me is obviously by on January 1 or by January 1, but we will see how this plays out. But I made some notes on there. And so anybody who is planning on starting a site with us in January, I don't have the spreadsheet up, but I will get it up. So we're going to do the same thing we did with the Mega site, which is just put our names in and then work together for a month or 2 months or 12 months and see how it plays out. But if you are planning on launching a project or a content push, I would love to hear in the chat any details that you have worked out, or we could sit here and work them out together, because that's literally what I'm doing right now. I'm checking the chat just because I see that it is active. Duale, I'm sorry if I get the name wrong, says, what keeps you motivated to keep writing and editing articles with no results until the 8-month mark? My children, because I gave myself the goal of making not just a full-time income, but a better than full-time income by the time my daughter goes to school. So I have all of my children in school. And if I don't, I have to go back to work, because I have to, right? Because I need, to invest money in my house, and I need to save for, kids' college funds and all those things. So I really don't want to go back to work. I really don't want to have a boss. So I wouldn't say that I'm desperate to maintain this lifestyle, but I kind of am, because it is great. Because I'm going to live stream right here at 10 a.m. here on the Pacific Coast on a Wednesday, when in the old days I would have been at work, working for somebody else, probably stressed out and losing my hair. So for me, I found something that was motivating, something that was like, I would rather do this than anything else. So for me, I really don't have to find motivation, right? I don't have to go to the depths of my soul and say, what's going to make me not watch Netflix and stay up late last night like I did. Like I was editing articles last night at 11:45, which is why I have these circles, because my alarm goes off at 6 o'clock to get kids up for school. It's because I'm so motivated to not go back to that life anymore. I'm sure other people have different motivations. And in fact, I would love to hear them. What brings you here? In the chat. Post it. I tried to say put it and post it at the same time, and that is the combination word. Put it in the chat, because I would like to know. I would like to know more about you and all the rest. I see French in there, c'est va, and I don't speak French. Sarvesh says, how's Google indexing treating you in 2021? Garbage. Although the fight site, and I posted about it last month, well, for month 5, that things were really terrible. It is starting to move. Oh my God. It's starting to move. SERP robot is all green, and every day I just check it and there's like, it's a little like, I'm super excited. I'm super excited to watch it move, to post more content there this month, and then report about it in a month. I'm really just hoping that month 6 is the month where it finally overcomes the indexing problems. The Mega site is definitely struggling with indexing also. And in fact, it's better for the articles that I'm posting now, but the stuff in October and November is toe dead. And there's nothing I can do to get it alive, like interlinking, or so far that I'm willing to do. I'm not paying for backlinks or anything. So for me, I'm just plowing ahead and trusting that eventually it will get sorted. He says, 2022, hopefully not dumpster fire 2.0. I'm keeping the faith. I'm keeping the faith. Let's see. Dee says that she checked out John's content because I said so, and she's been loving it. And I said, thank you for trusting me. It is awesome. Jay-Z says, Reddit Phil and I are going to get a site to 1,000 posts. Another goal is to get site 2 to 1,000 a month by December 2022. John, you don't get to start any more sites until you get another site to $1,000 a month. That's just what I think. Do whatever you want. But I think that I think a good goal is to get the site to $1,000 a month before starting another one. And I did it. So I can start another one because one of my sites that I started last year or this year is now $1,000 a month. So yeah. Eric says, seriously interlinking his articles and indexing is all better. Well done. Chris says he doesn't speak French, but he spent the last week in Quebec where everyone in the stores greets you with hello, bonjour. I don't even know if my accent is correct. I just make it up. Project Icarus, is the niche sunscreen? I think I would have a hard time writing 1,000 articles about sunscreen, but it could happen. It could happen. Sarvesh is talking about indexing that Google does not even admit. It's our fault, right? Our content is bad, right? There are quality issues with our content, which is why Google won't index our stuff. It's not, it's like, it feels like an abusive relationship almost, like blaming us for our like emotional response and our problems. Helen says, managed to make it tonight at a reasonable time. Helen, welcome. Who here, put up your hand if you are missing Alex. I miss Alex. And I hope if you are catching this on the replay, Alex, that Spain is treating you well and Merry Christmas. Bara says, the Mega site update, please. And I hopefully will post it here in the next few days. I have not actually recorded it because it has been insanely busy with the holidays, and I am just still continuing to post content to the site. So it's coming though. It'll be here soon. Lady D says, if you have a YouTube channel where you share your niche journey, could you share its name, please, or put it in the Mega spreadsheet? Yes, if you are in the Mega spreadsheet and you are making videos, chronicling your progress in any sort of way, you're absolutely 100% encouraged to put it in the Mega spreadsheet. And I will come and subscribe to your channel and watch the videos because I like them. It's a guilty pleasure for me. Like some people like pop culture or Roblox. Like I enjoy people's income report videos, like especially, when people are starting from scratch. So Duale says, thanks, really interested. Trying to escape the 9 to 5, but having 3 sites now, good traction. Blogging is a bit lonely. Yes, well, that is why we are here, and welcome. Carl says, meatball. Oh, thank goodness Carl was here and reminded us, what is Carl having for tea? Apparently, Carl is making meatballs. Thank you, Carl. My day is now complete. It's only 10 a.m. in the morning, but I could probably stop. I could, my day is full. Like, thank you, by the way. Jay-Z had pizza. Stig says, hey, Corn, and I will give Carl the salute. I still have to learn how to adequately use a kazoo, but luckily I have 3 of them. So one of them should probably do the job. Carl's in and out and I missed it. So yeah, people are missing Alex. Sarvesh says the SEMrush sensor has been very high. Yeah, there's no sign of it calming down. I think everybody should just buckle up and then put their heads down and work on content and not worry about what Google is doing right now, because it will cause you depression and heart palpitations. Let's see. D is sharing Carl Broadbent's channel, Anthony's channel. Stig says that he enjoys Roblox income reports. Well, the fact that you put it in all caps tells me that you're serious. That's all I'm saying. Let's see. Sarvesh was wishing that there was a WhatsApp Telegram group for some of us. Some folks are in a Discord and some folks are in accountability groups. So if you hang out long enough, you probably will find yourself in one of those groups eventually. So, Chris, while you were here, the Fight Side project, which we have basically both said it's not much of a competition anymore. I was doing the math. So that project was supposed to go 15 months. And then, and I was doing the math and realizing that puts the Fight Side like case study or the video series over next September, which to me is almost feels like soon, right? I just really wasn't thinking about how long this project was going on, and I have focused on it so little, even though I've been posting content there, 15 articles a month since July. But it's really not that long. Like I was planning for the whole year for it, like doing 15 articles a month, but I think that I'll just keep putting the 15 articles on until September, and I guess we'll see how we are. But we'll have to talk about, like what sort of collab we want to continue to do on this, if any. I don't even know if you're working on your fight site anymore, but so far for me, the RPM has been terrible, but finally starting to move. So I'm still excited about it. For the Mega site, I've been thinking about lately my goals for it, and it's been really interesting. And I talk about this a lot, and I'm experiencing it for myself. That once you go through the pain of like getting started, and you start writing, and you force yourself to get in the habit of doing the work, well, it's almost been impossible to stop. Right. So my goal was to get to 500 articles by the end of November, and I didn't make it, but I got really close, like really close. And then I got there right on whatever the first week of December, and then I was like, okay, like now I can like, take a break and do other things or not work. But you know what? The habit of ordering content, of reviewing the content, and posting the content is still happening. So I crossed that 500 mark and intended to put the site down, but I couldn't. I literally couldn't. I've been up the last 3 nights after the kids have gone to bed, and I didn't post tons, but I still posted like 5 or 6 articles every night. So I'm almost to 520 articles. I'm like, man, and it didn't even seem like a lot of effort. So the listener earlier who was asking about motivation and what keeps you going, some of it, I guess, is the desperate desire and the hunger to achieve my goals, but part of it also is the habit. I formed a habit coming to the computer on a regular basis and reviewing those articles and posting them is now part of my day. It's now part of my routine. And so it is no longer quite so difficult to get to the computer to do the work. And I tell people that this will happen, right? I assure them that will happen. But a lot of times I really don't think about it for myself because my schedule is like all over the place with my family and my commitments. But it's happening to me. I just cannot stop. I just can't stop. So, my goal was to get to 500 posts and then take a break, but I am, I like Charlie made it to 1,000 posts on his project. I'm like, man, I should set my sights on 1,000 posts. And I think that I think there's plenty of runway there. There are plenty of keywords there. And so my goal is in 2022 is not to get to 1,000 posts by the end of the year, but basically to get there as soon as possible. Because it would be awesome to get there, maybe by midsummer, and then maybe enjoy the fruits of the labor in Q4 instead of like doing the run at the end and getting the articles posted in November and December when it's kind of too late, especially with indexing. So the December like rest and relaxation for the Mega site really isn't happening. My goal is to try to get it to 550 by the end of the year if I can, and then just sprint to 1,000. Yes, I don't know how long it will take, but my tentative goal is to try to get there by the end of August, which is pretty exciting. So that talks about the fight site and the Mega site. So now I'm going to check the chat, and then I'm going to talk about Project Icarus. And I want to hear more about the plans for the folks that are jumping in, because I want to know if you're starting a new site, if you are like, what's your goal for 2022? Because not just January, right? It's not just going to be January, February, March. We're talking about a year-long plan of working on these projects. So I want to hear it. Eric's in Switzerland eating a sandwich. Thank you for sharing, my friend. Chris does have a Discord channel, and that is a great place to go if you would like to rub shoulders with like-minded folks. Let's see. Sarvesh asks, am I mentally ready for the RPM nosedive in January? I'm not. In the old days, I used to kind of cringe, January, like, oh, like the loss of this, that, or whatever. I don't feel that way anymore about January. It's like cyclical, right? Like, it's coming and it's normal. So for me, I'm like, oh, it's, going to be a bummer, but I'm going to be so focused on Project Icarus that I probably, and I also have gotten out of checking stats constantly as a motivation. So I'm not truly that bothered. Like financially, I'm prepared for it. And I just will have a lot to do in that time. So no, I mean, I expect the dive, but I also expect things to recover um, in due time. So no, I mean, is anybody else like ready to cry when January comes around? I mean, yeah, it's a bummer, but it life goes on. D says 520. That is amazing. Yes, I feel like I am amazing right now. Yes, I am amazing. Stig says, "Are you asking for an intervention?" No, I am not. Um, I I feel good. I do. Eric says 5 to 6 articles each evening or night. That's a lot. It is a lot for me, but I have this backlog of content that I had ordered, and now I need to post it. And I also was putting more money in to have the content come out. So I'm just like getting in the habit. It's important. Dwella says, what does your portfolio look and currently adding content or not? Still going through vids on your channel. So if we're talking about the Empire Flippers portfolio that I bought in 2019, I'm not working on it. I'm like fully neglecting it. That's right. I'm not adding content to it right now. And basically I am checking it to just make sure that it is alive and that ads are still showing. It is still earning money and it was still a good investment and it definitely needs my time and attention, but I can't be bothered. So I'm imagining will either unload it or sell it when I get tired of hanging on to it. I haven't checked the numbers, but I'm pretty sure that I have broken even at least on it. So I earned the money back that I invested in it. I just don't, I'm not interested in the niche or the project. And I'm so much more interested in applying the knowledge that I have gained in the last year or two that just not motivated to work on those projects. But they're there and I learned on them a lot. Dee says she's going to join me in Icarus. Yes. Going to be a fresh domain, although I've been looking for an H1 in the niche for over 6 months. You know, for me, this one is supposed to be an age domain case study, a video series, just because I've never done one, but fresh domains are totally fine. Soren says he's going to be joining in Project Icarus, which I'm excited about. And he'll be starting a new site, but with focus on building SOPs for more effective outsourcing. Yes. Zach says that he started a new site in October. So it's going to be going heavy on content in 2022. It's a tech site, so lots of troubleshooting guides, DIY articles, small in number, but beefy. Well done, friend. Sarvesh says he's been working from home mostly with a remote team. I really wonder if having an offline office would help in productivity. You know, there are some people that work really well at the office and work well at home. For me, I have to get into the routine. Like I can't just, my bed is right there, but I can't just like roll out of bed in my pajamas and expect to have a good work day. It's almost like getting ready for work, like in the old days, except that I don't leave the house. So I have to get up and have coffee and like the routine of getting started with my day to actually get to work. Because otherwise I really don't get started. So for me, I don't have to go outside of my home because I do have that other routine ingrained and I have been doing it for a while. But for some folks, when you get easily distracted by the things that are at home, I could totally understand why that would be hard. Eric says he's in for Icarus. So what are you going to do though, Eric? Are you starting a new site? Like what is the plan? Like, let's talk about it because if we're starting on the 1st, that's 2 weeks from 2 weeks from now. Oh my God, that's 2 weeks from now. Holy cow. Diabetic Game Guy. I will be joining Icarus too. I have no idea what I'll be doing right now. Well, now is the time, my friend, because we've only got like 2 weeks in a day. And some of that will be the holidays, I'm assuming, where we won't be working. So let's talk about it. Like, what are we going to do? Stig says, Alexa, time to work. Sean Mars. Yeah, I don't think Sean is working in the month of December, by the way. I admire him. Historically, he's taken the entirety of December off, and I haven't seen any videos from him, or I could just not be paying attention. But Sean, if you're out there, well done for taking the month of December off. All right, so the new site, Project Icarus. Let's talk about it. My plan is for this to be an aged domain case study project, right? But it's not just a video series. I actually want to try and do similarly to this domain what I did to the Mega site. So I actually looked at the first 5 months of content, like what I posted on the Mega site, and look for when I saw the bump, because I kind of want to post similarly, right? I have money set aside that I could use to launch this site initially, like putting, a lot of articles on it quickly, but I would kind of like to compare how it does, right? This is my first age domain, deal, and to see how it's really different or the same or better or worse. And so I look back at what I did for the Mega site in January through May, and with the site in June was the month where the page views really started to jump. I mean, by month 5, there were about 4,000 page views, which was respectable, which is better than my fight site is doing. But in month 6, it jumped from 4,000 page views to 13,000 page views a month. So that's where the initial hockey stick moment was. So I'm curious if I basically set everything up almost the same with the age domain and then post the same amount of content to see how it does. So with the Mega site in month 1, I did 25 articles, and then month 2 was 29, month 3 was 40, month 4 is 36, and month 5 was 50. And to compare right now, toward the end of 2022, let's see, like in November I did 75, and October was 67, and September was 52. So it's going to be less content on the site monthly that I'm putting on the Mega site now, but I would really like to see how it compares. So I just could go month on month, using an age site. Like, will it make a difference? I mean, you can't obviously compare. They're not apples and apples, right? They're not even really apples and oranges. They're very different, but to the extent that I can make them somewhat similar, so that I could, if I could, come to the end of it and say, oh, well, using an age domain is better. And I don't know, right? I don't know if this is going to work out, but I kind of want to see. So the post numbers won't be exact month on month, but I aim to have them be fairly close. And so in the first 5 months on the Mega side, I had posted 180 articles by the end of month 5. So that would be my goal, is to get 180 articles up by the end of month 5, and then just compare the traffic month on month to see what happens, and also do the similar social fortress. So what I had done with the Mega site was I was posting the articles as they came out on Facebook, Pinterest, and Twitter. And I never got a ton of traffic as a result of that. But, is it the behavior of a natural site? In my mind, it probably is. So I'll be doing that. Let's see, the Mega site was posted on SiteGround. So I'm going to do that. This time, well, the Mega site, I used Generate Press, and I'm going to use the popcorn theme this time. And thank you, by the way, Alex and Carl and Phil, for access to popcorn. I will be using it on this Project Icarus, just so you know. Plugins, as far as what I used on the Mega site versus what I plan to use now, is I have Rank Math, the free version of Link Whisper, the Lucky WP table of contents, Updraft, WP date remover, and WP word count. And I really don't have any other major plans for plugins or any other like bells and whistles. With the Mega site, I put Ezoic on, I think at week 6, and I'm going to do the same with this site. So people are like, oh, like the difference between putting Ezoic on early or this or that. I just want to try to mirror it as closely as possible. And you guys know that I like to put Ezoic on early anyway, even when the site doesn't get a lot of traffic, because I like the data. I like seeing, how the RPM changes, and I like to see the value of certain articles because I think it's fun to know, and I just like to know stuff. So, but after that, mostly it's going to be an info site. So I won't really be focused on adding affiliate content, though I will, if it makes sense over time. But it's mostly just like response posts, Q&A posts. And as far as niche selection, I have a niche in mind, and I'm still looking for a domain to go with it. But what I find is that I'm less worried than I have been previously about the competition of the potential niche. Like, I was obsessed with it with the Mega site. Like, I looked and looked and looked, and I compared and did all the things, and then I was going through Morton's course and looking at what he was looking at, and I think what I've discovered from having entered into a niche that was not very competitive at all versus entering into a niche that is extremely competitive, which is my fight site, is I finally understand and believe what our fellow creators say when they say that there are enough keywords out there for everyone, and that there's always low competition keywords if you are willing to do the work and to find them. Because even though I have not turned like a really strong eye to the fight site, I see, in month 6, like I'm starting to see that growth in a niche where I would expect to have extreme difficulty getting any sort of traction. And I think I've been able to find keywords that will work. And so, in picking out this niche, I'm less concerned about will there be lots of other people in it? I'm guessing that yes, there will be lots of other people in this niche. But I also notice in just doing just keyword searches that Quora is on page 1 for a lot of the topics, and I think that for me that's enough. I think that the niche is broad enough that people know about it, and we're looking for information about it, and it's evergreen. And Quora's on page 1 for a lot. So for me, like going deeper into competition analysis, I'm not that interested, and I'm not that worried about it. And maybe I'm overconfident. Maybe I'm fully overconfident. It makes me think of a little bit of Luke Jordan. I don't know if you remember his series where he had his big site that he sold, and he turned around and then bought a whole bunch of properties, and he's like, everything I will touch turns to gold. And it didn't happen for him. And he admitted to maybe being overconfident, and that it's not necessarily, doesn't always work out. Right. So I could be heading into that. But I've had this niche in my mind for a while, and no, I'm not going to share it, and no, I'm not going to share the URL. But I, I, I'm going to relax a little bit as far as the competition research, and maybe I'm stealing the idea from the passive income unlocked guys. You know how they're talking about their approach to just get all the keywords, right? Rather than worrying about competition, they're just going to do the cluster and then just do them all, regardless of competition. Maybe that's what it's got going on in my mind, but maybe that's just the natural progression of where we are at after we start to build some confidence and things work out, is that you worry less about whether or not an article is going to take off immediately, and whether or not it's non-existent competition versus some competition. You trust over time that it will get there. But I'm just not stressing out as much as I have previously about the niche. So checking the chat, because I've just been like randomly going off here. And I went back to Eric, who said he was in Icarus. Dwally says, planning to add 100 articles on all 3 sites. You reckon it's a good idea to then start a new site when we reach 100 and seeing some revenue traffic, or make it massive? For me, I always focus on meeting the goals that I set for the project. So if the goal for the project for the website is to get it to 100 articles before moving on, then do that. If your goal is to get it to a specific earnings level, then do that. I really feel like $1,000 a month is sort of an arbitrary amount, but an extra $1,000 of revenue, that really makes a difference as far as what you could reinvest, right? $100 a month is better than nothing, but it's not that many articles if you're using the revenue or the profit or the money going in to reinvest in other things. So I like $1,000 a month, because it's almost, I don't want to say impossible, but it's really hard for me to actually order, edit, and post uh, all of the content that I would order between $1,000 and $1,500 a month. Like in December, my goal was to try to order $2,000 worth of content. I probably won't get there because I just don't have the time to do it. But so yeah, I mean, whatever your goal is, don't start a site until you've reached your goals for that particular project. Tom, he says, you'd like to join Project Icarus. Yes. I have a niche that I could write a lot of content for, but not sure if it's a good niche to make money. I'm new at this, but finding niche analysis very difficult. Yes. Well, I don't want to encourage you to share the niche, but if you could tell us maybe a bit about your analysis and your thinking about why it is that you like it and why it is that you worry about it, then maybe we can chime in on it. How is 22 to 20 2022, 2 weeks away. I do not know. Jesse says, okay, hey, Jesse, what's going on? There's Niche Informer. He says, I missed Icarus. What is that, like Amiga 2.0? Yes, that is exactly it. We're just starting in January and then doing a content push, 12-month content push for the year of 2022. So for me, it's starting a new site. For other people, um, it will be content pushes or sites that they already have or anything else. But you're welcome to hop in on us, hop in with us, something. Stig says that he has posted 2 or 3 in December so far, and my guess is that he probably pre-recorded them. We're talking about Sean, but maybe not. Eric says the Icarus plan is a new site. All right, Eric's Icarus plan is a new site. Already purchased the domain name. Well done. We'll try to do something new, a site with a ratio of 10 articles of info content for one affiliate page. More difficult to rank. You know, I think it's good to be purposeful, right? As we're going through the keywords, especially when you do want to do affiliate content, and also with like silos and keyword clusters. Like for me, historically, I'm very just blow through it, try to get it done. And so that will be one of the goals of 2022 is to be more purposeful and try to finish these topic clusters before moving on to other things. Because sometimes I'll do 10 here and 10 here and 10 here and then go back around and watch and see what is taking off. And I would just like to, rather than do a couple here, a couple here, a couple here, and see what moves, is just get through the clusters and finish them and then move on before, you know, just being less disorganized. I start every site with the plan to be super organized, and it fails every single time. So that is, every time I start over is a new goal. Evan says, is being in the Google sandbox for 5 months normal? Yes. Should I expect a hockey stick growth? I don't know. Is it foolish to wish for? Never foolish. Hockey stick growth is feels like winning the lottery, even though it's more than chance. But you say, should I expect hockey stick growth? And the answer is, I don't know, because I don't know how many articles that you have, and I don't know how competitive the terms are, and I don't know what's going on with it. So I would love to say yes, you know, the hockey stick is coming, but I don't know. And if it is coming, I don't know when, because sometimes it takes 8, 9 months. Sometimes it takes 12 or 15 months. Sometimes it takes no time at all. So I don't know. Yes, new name. Let's see. D says, crazy, very different. Experiment. Yes, Project Icarus will be a fun experiment. Stig says, so to be clear, and because it's in caps, then it is extra clear. You're going to keep your foot on the gas on the Amiga site? Yes. The answer is yes. And full speed on Icarus. So for Icarus, it will not be as full speed, at least for the first 5 months. So the Amiga site, I'm getting closer to being able to produce, I don't want to say easily, but more easily, between 75 and 100 articles a month for that site in a given month. So if my goal is to get to 1,000 in 2022 by the end of August, I don't think I will have to go like all out or get out to make that happen. But if I could do, you know, 50 to 75 a month for the first 6 months of the year, I'll be really close, and I'm able to do that now. And for Project Icarus, the goal is probably to outsource as much of that as possible and not to write very much. So the only thing I think I will be really writing for is the fight site, at least through the end of September. And I think that I should be able to manage it. So, you know, you save, let's say 50 articles for the Mega site in a month, and then 15 for the fight site, and then maybe 25 to 30 on Project Icarus. And that is under what I'm producing now. So I could be wrong though, but I think this is doable. I do think this is doable. Keith is going back to Evan's question about the sandbox. He says it's normal. 5 months without a hockey stick is normal. It could be between 4 and 9 months and depends on type of competition. Yes, D says also normal. It is normal to be scared and while waiting, because sometimes sites don't go. Sometimes they don't, despite our best efforts. So that is also normal to feel anxiety about that. I see how many folks are in the chat, and then our thumbs up sign. This is just a reminder, if you have not hit the thumbs up button, please do it. It makes my heart feel fuzzy. I don't think that it does anything else though. Susan, what is going on? First time here on the stream. Thanks for joining in. So you found me through the Niche Pursuits podcast. You'll have to let me know what you thought about it, because I have anxiety about re-listening to myself talking, because I fear what it is that I said and being embarrassed about it. So you'll have to let me know. Any feedback that you have is definitely appreciated. She says she's always looking for like-minded individuals that blog for a living. I'm up for starting a new site. Not that you need another. Well, keep an eye then, not this week, but probably next week. In the chat, you'll see the link to the Google spreadsheet so that you can put your name in, and we'll start a new site together. It'll be fun. Zach says, 100% agree. I like targeting niches that are considered too competitive, but happen to have a lot of low competition keywords. Yeah, there's so many combinations, right? You could go for low competition all the way across the board. You could look for high competition with, there's just, I think I have worried too much in the past about the niche selection process, when I probably should have just been doing more keyword research and just doing the work that other people were not willing to do. I think you can be successful in just about any niche if you're willing to do the work. Although it is much easier when you do find a niche that is not competitive. It is easier. And I think the Mega site was one of those. But like I said, I have the comparison. I have a not competitive niche with a competitive niche, and both those sites are currently growing. So with the skills that I have, I just have to have this faith that Project Icarus will also take off. Let's see. Ann Peters says Basque Tech, and I missed the reference to that, so I don't know. Tom says, well, the things that worries me is that there are no new products along the lines of antiques. Well, the question I have is, will people advertise? And if people will not advertise for those particular products, whether they are new or not, then it makes me question whether or not that is a niche that I would go into. If it was purely an info site where there was no buyer persona, period. I mean, you could still make money with those, but the RPM will not be as high. So that's my question. And I guess I would be looking at the niche, like whatever is specific about it. And I would be looking at the blogs that exist, that the websites that exist, and look at what types of products are being advertised on it. So look at it with your regular browser and see what it shows up for you, like what the ads are. But then also do an incognito browser, or use your phone, or use somebody else's computer and see what's different. Because let's say the niche was antiques. That, to me, in my mind, and I could be prejudiced, and if you are in this group of people, in this age group, I'm sorry if I offend you, but I always think of antiques and associate them with a tier 1 audience that's kind of old and probably has money. But I wouldn't necessarily think to target them with ads, because that audience, as aging, and maybe isn't necessarily used to shopping for that item on the internet. I think of antiques like antique stores and like roadside sales where people will go and like they garage sale and they want to pick stuff up and look at it. So that would be my concern, is if I went into that niche, would people be advertising for that? And I don't know. But that's what if I were you, that's what I would be going to see, is, what sort of ads. And maybe an antiques website, maybe there would be lots of advertisers. Maybe Disney Plus would be advertising on that. And maybe other people who were targeting like aging tier 1 people with money, like realtors and, Clorox bleach like fabric softener. I don't know. But I would just look and see. And if you have doubts about whether or not there is an audience, then I definitely would investigate that further. Dee says, are you going to plan out all of your keyword articles in advance? If so, how many months ahead are you going to be working with that? So for me, the answer is no. In the past, I might have, just because I would have wanted to make sure that the niche was deep enough. Um, and I don't have that concern with this particular topic. I'm fairly certain now, just knowing what I know or what I think I know, maybe arrogantly, because I don't know, if I'm being overconfident about this. I think that I will be able to find a handful of clusters that will at least get me to the first 500 articles, which is the goal for 2022 is 500 articles in 12 months. Um, because of the initial research that I've done, and also my plan to just cover the topics rather than only targeting low competition keywords. But for folks that are newer to this, and or maybe this is their first site, or maybe they have never had a site that was successful, I do recommend that to just because what happens? Here's what happens. You start a site when it's one of your first couple of sites and you're anxious about it, you're nervous about it, and you desperately want it to succeed. So then you write the first 30 articles in the first month and you stay on your plan, you don't worry about it. And then the second month you do that. And then in the third month, you start opening your Google Analytics and you start looking at it a lot. And you're like, I'm doing all this work and nothing's happening. I'm starting to doubt myself. And the benefit of having those first 200 articles laid out is that you could actually just delete Google Analytics from your phone and then put your head down and go back and just keep working through those keywords. It's almost like a way to keep you stuck on track when you start to get diverted by doubt and by fear and anxiety and thinking, okay, I'm putting time and money into this and it's not going anywhere. Uh, I feel pretty confident that I can invest 12 months of my life into this project, even if it doesn't take off in month 3 or month 5 or month 7 or month 12. I mean, with an age domain, we hope that it will take off immediately, right? Like things will index immediately and it will be glorious. But that might not happen, right? I could put 12 months into this and it could be dead. It may never take off. But partly because I publicly said I'm going to do it, but I feel confident that I can do 12 months on the site without having all the key words planned out. But now that you mention it, I think back to my troubles with being organized, and maybe I should. I don't know. I'll have to give more thought to that um, about whether or not I should try to plan out the first 500 and then just go straight down the list of my keywords rather than doing keyword research as I go. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to think about it. Zach says that anyone with ad sites should probably check out the Niche Pursuits video this morning with Eric from Mediavine. Really good insights from. Yeah, I saw that interview came out, and there's a lot of doom and gloom constantly happening. And I'm of the mind that when there is money to be made, that money we will find a way. We will find a way. That's what I think. Jay says, how does Mediavine look in terms of earnings and speed on your Mega site? So far, my results, my feelings about speed are good. See, the thing is like people love to complain about Ezoic and its problem, like its impact on speed. And for me, with the Mega site, I was using Leap and no other, and like the CDN Cloudflare associated with Ezoic. And so I was in green on everything in the page speed insights and on Core Web Vitals, and everything was in the 90s. So when I moved to Mediavine, it's the same, still fast. It's, but I didn't have like that aha moment, like, oh, I got rid of this and then now everything's faster. For me, it's the same. As far as ads go, the RPM is higher currently with Mediavine. And the only thing that I cannot honestly do is draw a specific conclusion as to how much better and how much of that is associated with the switch from ad networks and the holidays. Because I switched, I think on November, 19th, and that was right before Thanksgiving. And the ads were optimizing the week of Thanksgiving. And then we've gone into the shopping season. So, yes, the RPM versus the EPMV is higher right now on the Mega site than it was before I switched. And I cannot conclude how much better. And I wish I could. And I kind of kick myself because I could have waited, right? I could have just gone the whole year through and then started in January with Mediavine, assuming that I got through. And then I could compare, like, here's January this year versus January last year, and like July and December. And I blew it because I was impatient. I was ready. I just wanted to see. And so, yeah, I'm having a good experience. But for me, I wasn't like leaving a bad experience either. So some people, have strong feelings about networks, this, that, or whatever. I was having a good experience. And so the reason I made the transition was mostly curiosity because I wanted to see. And now I see it and it's fun. But diabetic game guy, friend, I would love to know your name so that I could call you like Tom or John or Phil or Steve instead of diabetic game guy. But if you want to leave it at diabetic game guy, that's okay. He said, I really liked the niche site podcast you did. I learned a lot about you. You came across as relatable. I thank you. Thank you. I try hard to be relatable, but mostly I try hard to be myself. And if that's relatable, then I'm doing a good job. Soren says, any good, interesting niche ideas for a brainstorm? Yes, well, usually what I do when I'm struggling with niche selection is I take my trusty little notebook outside with a pencil, and then I walk around and write down everything that I see, and like looking like peeping into people's just like walking like surreptitiously, like, what do you have there in your front room there, friend? Like, what do you have there in your driveway there, friend? And going into people's houses, like, what do you got there? And to get some ideas for things that I just don't normally do or think about. Another thing that I think I would do if I wasn't already kind of picked on a niche is I would look at conference centers in major city centers like New York or Los Angeles or in Texas. And then I would look at the lineup for the conferences. Because in my mind, if people are willing to pay to travel to attend a conference in another state or another country, like on a particular topic or niche, that indicates to me, one, that there's money and that there's passion for the topic. And actually, that's a great idea. I thought of it. No, I didn't think of it. I'm sure I stole that. But if you were looking for a unique place to go to get niche ideas, that's what I would do. I would just look for whatever conference centers exist in Chicago and Los Angeles and Seattle, and then see what groups are coming through. Maybe it's the guys that are really interested in My Little Ponies. I forget what they're called, but there was a documentary that came out about them that was really interesting. But that would be a good way to get some ideas. Kieran, what's going on? It is the first time that we've caught you in a while. How are you doing? Stig says, okay, fine. I'll take you garage sailing for antiques. I get the hint. I assume that you were an antique. Zach says, old people are gold for ads. Well, I'm like rapidly approaching that that age group. Thank you. Age, income, gender are the biggest indicators for ad audiences, and the 55 plus category are worth more than any except for the highest income bracket groups. Yes, especially as my age group gets older, because not only will we be old and have money, but we'll also have been raised in the age of the internet, so be more likely to spend money online. Chris says that interview scared me more than anything. Yeah. Yeah, well, the doom and gloom, like people have been talking about for what, a year, 2 years, that ad revenue is going to completely disappear when the first party versus third party cookies deal gets resolved. Yeah, maybe that's a sign. Maybe we should just frankly build what we can and then sell it, and then leave the problem for the people who come behind us. Zach says, I worked in ad tech during the Safari third-party cookie update, and our execs said then, we can survive this, but if Google joins, then it's an existential threat. Hey. D says, I love your philosophy on site. I hope it's glorious for you. Me too. I like the word glorious also very much. Chris says, maybe is it time to diversify? Evergreen YouTube seems hard. I think YouTube is a difficult beast. And I think people make it look easy, and it is not. But I'm kind of with you there on YouTube. I would love to have another income stream that was passive that I could work on my own time. I just don't know for me if YouTube is it, because you have to feed the beast constantly. It's like websites, you could post your stuff and then get away, but YouTube, if you don't feed it, then it gets mad and hurts you. Soren says, so far I've enjoyed Azoic. Yep. Zach said, let's see, you could try direct ad buys, membership sites for better first-party data. I'm also keeping an eye on companies doing quasi third-party cookies, but I'm holding off on any changes until we hear more. I concur. Diabetic Game Guy says, if you'd like a shorter name for me, some people call me DGG, which is my initials. Yes, I don't know. I don't know if DGG is any better. I might just call you Game Guy, our friend Game Guy. Stiggs, of course, Stiggs would come in with the name for the My Little Ponies guys, the Bronies. Yes, Bronies. Well, there you go. I just remembered something, and I hope that you all learned something, that this niche out there exists, the Bronies. Eric says, I've started to monetize my site last week. It is so slow. The back office is a nightmare. Chris says, nah, I have a YouTube channel that makes $500 a month, and I haven't added content in years. Well done, sir. I have not had that experience personally myself, but I trust that you have. Game Guy, our friend Game Guy, says, okay, that will work. And I said, well, luckily, I can do what I want because you can't stop me. I will try not to offend you, though, friend. It's a mouthful. Sarvesh says, I would love to have a revenue stream free from Google, maybe Amazon FBA or something. I think the glory days of FBA was probably about 5 or 6 years ago, but that could just be me. That could just be me. Yeah. I think I looked into FBA pretty seriously 2 or 3 years ago when I was still in the shiny object like pathway, and a lot of people, instead of starting from scratch, were having more luck with buying out other people's FBA products and listings. So if you could get something that was already successful, you would be more likely to be able to continue to ride on that success versus starting from scratch, just because so many of the products and the strategies had already been they're just really full. Like, it was really competitive, but people were able to sell their FBA businesses for a pretty decent multiple on Empire Flippers. But I couldn't get over the hump of my lack of knowledge about manufacturing and importing stuff from China, right? And that's how a lot of people are able to make good money, is to be able to get the products for cheap. And I just was really nervous about sending money to China and then putting on a boat and then trying to get it from a boat to maybe through the freight forwarder and then to the company that would package it. And then it was just like, there's so many steps, right? You could also like bring it and put it in your garage, but then it's like, what if people don't buy it? And I don't know, my conservative nature as far as investing money was better satisfied by buying a domain and hosting and then building on it. And I definitely don't make the money that people can with FBA, but at least I don't have a whole entire garage full of like plastic tubes or something that I had bought that I have to now sell. Eric says that Ezoic is slow. It's so slow now. Soren says the conference idea is glorious. Haven't heard that one before. All right, I'll claim it. That was my idea. That was totally my idea. Don't let anybody else tell you that was their idea. I'll just say that it was mine. Stig says ad side drama means they are trying to manipulate us back to affiliate sites. Yeah, it's like the back and forth, like don't do that and then don't do that, and then we find some other way to monetize it. Basically, it means we should all be building a list, right? The dreaded email list building. Just can't be bothered. Sarvesh says maybe a content agency that focuses solely on info content rather than affiliate. Just income school kind of awesome content. Good idea or meh. There's a lot of people out there who want content. I can't say one way or another whether or not another content agency could succeed, but there's people making big money right now facilitating content. I mean, there just is. I mean, niche website builders I'm not saying that they are just doing content, but they have 100 employees now, and a big part of their business is content, and they were able to raise their rates, right? Because the demand was high enough. They couldn't be raising rates and still working at capacity if there wasn't that demand there. So I don't know. Could be a good idea. I just think, like anything, that if you're going to go down the road of that idea, that you have to commit to it and you have to go all in on it. And it doesn't work if it's just like a flash in the pan, like looking at it like it'll be an easy thing to do, because that stuff never is. D says email lists are too much like hard work. I'm sure they're good at ROI if you have big lists, but not for me, not yet. Well, me either. I'm looking at the time. It's 11 o'clock, which means I've been on for an hour. I don't know how that happened. Chris says authority hackers were saying that now's not a good time for starting a content agency. AI will be pushing content prices down, down, down in the coming years. It's a really good point. It would be cool, though, to have some sort of service or some sort of business that is selling shovels to the masses that are digging for gold, apart from also digging for gold. Ben Adler, he went and did Keyword Chef, and I mean, I never have ideas, right? Ideas for stuff like that. But it's really fun to watch someone else take an idea like that and run with it. And he has his own sites, but then he also has this other side business that seems to be doing well. And so I don't know. It'll be fun to watch. The plan is for next week. Next week is the week of Christmas, and I do plan to be here for folks who want to be around. I may wear a hat. I may put up some lights or some decorations. I may not. I may invite some people to come on the stream. I may not. I'm basically scrambling to keep my head above water right now, so I have no idea what will happen. But the plan right now is to come on sometime next week. It may not be even on Wednesday, but I'm still going to stream one day next week. That is currently the plan. Checking out the chat to say bye to the regulars, Chris and Dee and Stiggs and Sarvesh, thank you for joining us, and Soren and Eric and Game Guy, our friend, and everybody who's in the chat. I've enjoyed speaking with you so much. For the folks that joined us for the first time today, feel free to come again, and then be prepared to tell us more about yourselves, because as always, we would like to know more about what you're working on, and it helps us. It helps us to be able to help each other and also just feel more like a community. See you next week. I'll actually post it in advance with a thumbnail so you'll know when. Otherwise, take care. Oh, and there's Adrian. I didn't even see you in the chat until now. Adrian, what's going on? All right, time to go to work. That's right. Take care, everybody. Cheers.